Okay, so these are the 12 important questions that you need to know as far as the world history chapters are concerned. But let me kind of digress a bit. Have you seen that video ad featuring Rahul Dravid, the cred ad, Indira Nagar ka goonda, in which he talks a very uncharacteristic side to Rahul Dravid, otherwise one of the most gentleman cricketers that one has known. I remember interviewing him many years ago, almost 15 years ago in Visakhapatnam, and I remember this incident where the backdrop standee fell, and while we rushed to kind of pick up the standee and put it back so that the interview could resume, he also ventured to help. And that was something very different, because most of the celebrities, and I've interviewed quite a few of them, they generally are, most of them are aloof. Something like this happens, an interruption happens, they kind of get engrossed in what they need to do. But the fact that he also tried to help showed that this was a man, he was a man whose upbringing was good, and he was basically good natured. Now, I wanted to tell you a couple of things about Rahul Dravid, and this was sent to me by a friend of mine who is a vice chancellor of a university in Pune. And this was an anecdote related about Rahul Dravid's college life by a classmate of his who went on to become a doctor, right? He spoke about how Rahul Dravid would never attend classes. And that's obviously because he was also representing Karnataka in the Ranji Trophy. But one day Rahul Dravid came to class, the accountancy class, and started taking down notes furiously. And everyone was rather surprised for two reasons. One, because Rahul usually never came to class, right? So the fact that he had attended class was a surprise in itself. Point number two, while he was taking down the notes, he was wearing his batting gloves. Now, most of you, those of you who are familiar with cricket, have seen cricket, have played cricket, will know how thick the batting gloves are. Isn't that right? Now, it's not very easy to kind of grip the pen and also write wearing the batting gloves. So after the class was over, he came to his friend and he said, Adarsh, I don't have the accounts notes, so could you lend it to me? I will Xerox it and return it to you. So he said, that's not a problem, but why were you taking down the notes wearing the batting gloves? So Rahul replied that, see, what has happened is that in the last two matches, I batted with my old batting gloves, right? Which had become very loose over a period of time. So on two occasions, what had happened was the ball had gone very close to his gloves. So even though the ball had not touched his batting glove, the umpire got the impression, because the gloves were a little loose, that some kind of a nick had happened and the wicketkeeper had appealed and he was given out on two occasions. So what he did subsequently was he bought a new pair of batting gloves and he wanted to wear it for a period of 48 hours so that his fingers sweated into those batting gloves. They felt in sync with the batting gloves. They felt comfortable with the new batting gloves. So that was the idea. What does this incident, this anecdote really tell you about Rahul Dravid, and what's the lesson that it has for each one of you? The first lesson is that when you want to excel in anything, be it cricket, painting, studies, sculpting, anything, you need to make that extra effort. You need to walk that extra mile in order to ensure that you are on top of your game, that you can be absolutely excellent, not just mediocre, not just ordinary, right? And that is what Rahul Dravid was trying to do. The second point is, the second lesson that you students need to learn from this is that you need to take responsibility. It would have been easy for Rahul Dravid to blame the umpire. He was not, he did not give the correct decision, right? He did not touch my glove, but he gave the wrong decision. He could have blamed the wicketkeeper that he was dishonest, that even though he would have known that the ball had not touched the glove, he appealed and got a verdict in his favor on two occasions, right? But he decided to take the responsibility. He decided that he will not indulge in this blame game. He was not interested in this, isko blame karo ya usko blame karo. He decided that what is in my jurisdiction, what I can do, I will do that, right? And that is what he was trying to do, and that is something very important. He was taking responsibility on what he can do to ensure that the same mistake, the same error does not get repeated. And that's the second big lesson. All of you, I see a whole lot of you blaming everyone these days, but instead of that, if you can focus on what you need to do, right? Whether the exams get postponed, whether they are held on time, is not a decision in your hands. That is going to be a decision going to be taken by someone else. But in the meanwhile, think about what you can do. Are you doing your job well before criticizing someone else? Are you 100% prepared? Have you done your bit of your duty, your responsibility? And that's a lesson we need to learn from someone like Rahul Dravid, which is why I want to tell you this story, because it has important lessons for all you students. Okay, so now let's get back to world history and the important questions as far as your 2021 board examinations are concerned.